Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos. So just going to give you my match reaction for the Manchester United Arsenal game that ended 1-1 at Old Trafford yesterday evening. So that means now it's our third draw of the season, and we have only registered 9 points from 7 league games, and we have only won one of our last 6 league games. So we are on a bad run of form. But analysing the game, I thought it was a better performance for Manchester United yesterday evening. To be quite fair, there was a lot of chances created in the game. There was a lot of endeavour, especially in the second half. But I thought we had the better of the chances and all that. Rashford, threw one goal in the first half. Didn't take his opportunity. I think Andres Pereira also had a chance in the first half. Arsenal, had 2 good chances in the first half. David De Gea, had to make 2 world-class saves, to deny Saka, and also, to deny Matteo Guendouzi. Manchester United, we did take the lead just before half-time, through Scott McTominay, it was a really good finish, to be quite honest with you. It was from the edge of the box. I think it did get a slight deflection, but, it was a very good goal. I think in the game, we in total, I think we had around 16 shots. 12 of those shots, did come outside the box and that, so was winning the game at half time. But I thought, we dominated the majority of the possession. We had, better of the chances in that, but we still know that the result is not good enough. But Arsenal still haven't won at Old Trafford in the Premier League, since 2006. And then in the second half, I think around 13 minutes into the second half, Arsenal had got level through Patrick Emerick Aubameyang. Well, it actually, it was a misplaced pass from Alex Tuanzebe. It was supposed to go to Lindelof, but the pass didn't go to Lindelof. And then obviously Aubameyang, was on goal. Obviously, chips David De Gea, and that was 1-1. Well, the goal initially, got ruled out for offside, but obviously, VAR had intervened, and obviously, VAR of course had given the goal and that. But yeah, it was a pretty entertaining game, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, both teams are struggling for form. Manchester United and Arsenal as well. As well, we could have won the game at the end. Leno, had to produce a world-class save. But yeah, I thought there was some good individual performances. I thought Alex Tuanzebe played very well for Man United. I thought McTominay, had a pretty decent game. But take into account, we had injuries, before the game. I said, obviously, Pogba was playing, he wasn't fully fit. Rashford was playing, I don't think, he was fully fit. Don't forget, we had Luke Shaw out. Obviously, we had Anthony Martial out with injury. Obviously, it did confirm before the game that Wan-Bissaka was out. I think it's been revealed that he's ill. Is Wan-Bissaka, so he should be available for the game against AZ Alkmaar on Thursday, and the Newcastle game on the Newcastle game this weekend and that. So yeah, we had still quite a few players out with injury and that. But yeah, 1-1 draw for me, it isn't good enough and that's. But we've only won 1 in our last 6 league games now. But now the pressure, of course, is mounting up more on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. But I thought the performance, was better yesterday. And like I did say, if we could have put a performance out, I did say, would get something. But analysing it, this season, the performances, haven't been good enough. The results and that, haven't been good enough. And I think a lot of things do need to improve at Manchester United and that. And I did initially say our expectations this season will be to finish in that top 4. I did initially say this at the start of the season, because obviously we do obviously want to get back into the Champions League and that. And I did say with our fail to qualify for the Champions League, that was one of the main factor reasons that went against us in the summer transfer window, because I did say a lot of players would have had their reservations about joining the football club with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. But we are sitting now 10th in the league, and we've only, of course, got 9 points. We've already scored 9 league goals so far this season. So you can just see the areas, of course, where Manchester United are lacking in that. Like I did say, I'm still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. Like I said, Manchester United, of course, have got to give him a couple of transfer windows, to see who else he can recommend to the football club, because you can still quite frankly say that Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad and that. But like I said, I think Man United and Arsenal are on the same sort of level and that. Obviously, Arsenal's expectations this season, will be the same as ours, basically. will be the same as ours, basically. Obviously, if they don't get the top four and that, I think the vast majority of the Arsenal fans, obviously, will demand Unai Emery out. This is obviously Unai Emery's second season as Arsenal manager, but, Arsenal did really, really good investment during the summer. Don't forget before the game, obviously, they had Kieran Tierney out, one of their summer signings who they paid around, £25 million for. Obviously, they did have Mesut Ozil out. Obviously, they had Lacazette out over an ankle injury. Obviously, Ainsley Niles was suspended before the game and that. But yeah, they did a good investment during the summer after allegedly said, they'd only been given a tight budget. They'd only been given from between 40 to 45 million pounds to spend. But yeah, they haven't enjoyed a great start to the season. Arsenal defensively, have also got problems. And I did actually say on my preview, didn't I, that the Man United and Arsenal, the fixture is nowhere near as iconic as it was back in the day. When we had Alex Ferguson, of course, when they had Arsene Wenger, obviously the two longest serving managers in English football and that. Back in the day, it was a title decider was Manchester United and Arsenal, but it's not the same fixture, as it did currently used to be in that. I did say Arsenal, did have their moments in the game. We got a couple of substitutions on in the second half. I think Fred came on for Lingard. Mason Greenwood, of course, came on for Pereira. I'm surprised, actually, Mason Greenwood, didn't start the game and that. But obviously, Solskjaer, decided to go with Marcus Rashford instead. But I could tell Pogba and Rashford, were not fully fit. Rashford had some opportunities in the first half that he really should have taken. I don't think Pogba, had too much of a good game, to be quite honest with you. So for me, there's still areas in the squad, that I do need to be addressed in that. But like I did say to you, I've got element of concerns about Solskjaer. I also credit him in certain aspects. He's got a lot of faith in his young players as Solskjaer. That's one thing I do credit him for. He recommended 3 good players to the squad during the summer, and he did get rid of a lot of the deadwood as well during the summer and that. Obviously, I still think, these problematic players at Manchester United that do need to leave the football club in January and, of course, next summer. But definitely, further more investment is needed in the squad. But the question is, who will Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sign in January? But, I think, due to our inconsistency, like I do keep saying, I think everyone has to take the blame, to be quite honest with you. Some people believe that the vast majority of the blame stemming from Ed Woodward. I think personally, the vast majority of the blame, does stem from the board. I think also some of the blame stems from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to take some responsibility. And I think also some of the blame, does stem from certain players in that, because obviously, they're not performing, to the standards, as they should be. So I think, everyone is to blame basically, but mainly the board, because the board weren't ruthless enough during the summer. They didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough. And I think at the start of this season, he did say, regardless what happens this season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, should be safe for at least this season, because I think, the board realised, that they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough and that. But like I said, he needs at least a year, maybe even a couple of years, does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like I said, he was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years, he flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance and all that. So he has got that proven pedigree as a player. My element of concern about him is, though, his tactics are very questionable, and I will admit, we are tactically inept. Solskjaer, hasn't really got that managerial experience, to the highest level. So that's another concern I've got about him. But Solskjaer hasn't been at Manchester United long. He's only been at the club overall for around 10 months now. Obviously, he got recommended in December of last year following the dismissal of Jose Mourinho. Obviously, he came into the club as interim manager, and obviously in that 3-month period, when he was interim manager, he did really, really well. The results were good, the performances were good and that, and he exceeded expectations and all that when he was interim manager. But since he got the job permanently, back in March, earlier on this year, everything, of course, was just seemed to have all gone wrong. But I think, Manchester United do need to give him time. I think also the board do need to assure structural changes at the football club. Whether they can assure these structural changes or not, I do not know. The question is, are they going to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the tools and that he needs? Don't don't forget Man United were in for a director of football as well during the summer, and I did initially say we should have recommended a new director of footballing, because I did say, that's one of the structural changes and that we do need at the football club. And I think maybe if we had got that director of footballing during the summer, then maybe in that aspect, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have been backed more. But Solskjaer is our fourth permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era and that. And obviously we've already sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era. We've had different managers with different philosophies. And I said we haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers and that. And like I said, I hope Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure can become successful at Manchester United. But I'll be honest with you, I haven't really seen much improvements under Solskjaer than what I saw under Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, and of course David Moyes. But I think the vast majority of Manchester United fans are demanding him out of the football club. I think a lot of industries as well do believe Solskjaer could be gone by Christmas and that. But yeah, not all the blame stems from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But I did say we have got a lot of young players in the squad that are developing and trying to improve. Like I said to you. There's a lot of young players in the squad, that are trying to improve in that. Like I said with Mason Greenwood, I think it's probably assured, he will be starting the game against Alkmaar in the Europa League this Thursday. I'm surprised he didn't start the game yesterday because Solskjaer recently gave his overarching view on Mason Greenwood, and he did initially say, it would be impossible to leave Mason Greenwood out of the team, if he keeps scoring. Obviously, if he keeps the consistency up, Solskjaer has assured that Mason Greenwood will get more minutes under his belt, and did obviously come on as substitute. He is only 17 years of age, is Mason Greenwood, so he's got a hell of a lot of development in him. And I did say by the time he's 23, 24, I do believe Mason Greenwood can become a world-class centre forward, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, he's gaining Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's trust a lot. But yeah, and I think, the other young upcoming players as well, maybe I've got some element of concerns about, some of them and that, maybe not all of them, will become a success at Manchester United, maybe it only turns out, that Mason Greenwood, will become a success. I think with Alex Tuanzebe, he's another young upcoming player. I think that'll become a success at Manchester United. I thought he did really, really well yesterday, apart from obviously his error that led to Arsenal's equaliser. Obviously, he was playing at that left-back position. Obviously, Ash Young was playing at right back and that. But Young's obviously anywhere been playing on a regular basis, in the Premier League. It's been mainly due to Luke Shaw's absence and that. But obviously, we've got other fullbacks out. We've got Bissaka out. Obviously, Diego Dalot's out. He's another fullback out with injury. So obviously, in that aspect anyway, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had to make alterations. But yeah, Tuanzebe has done really, really well in the games he's played in this season. He did initially say, he's going to be a big part of the squad this season. Tuanzebe is predominantly a right back, but like I said, he can also play as a right back. Obviously, he can also play as a left back, and that obviously was on loan with Aston Villa last season. But Solskjaer did say, prior to the game that obviously, Luke Shaw returned back to training. So Luke Shaw, we should see him before the international break. Luke Shaw, of course, as you all know, has been out with a hamstring injury. So obviously, he's missed the last 5 games for Manchester United in all competitions. Obviously, he's been a big miss as Luke Shaw, and that I think, like I said, analysing the majority of his career, I think he's been mainly consistent. He had a bad spell under Mourinho. He's had some rough patches, but I think prior to that, Luke Shaw has been mainly consistent for Manchester United, and obviously won the double player this season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. But yeah, he has been out with a hamstring injury, so he hasn't played since the 2-1 defeat to Crystal Palace. Confirmed before the game as well that Fosu Mensah had returned back to training, so he should be back soon. Obviously, he's another one of the young upcoming players. Fosu Mensah has been injured for quite some time. He's been out with an knee injury. He sustained the injury, I think, whilst he was on loan with Fulham last season. Anthony Martial, now obviously we do know that he's been a big miss for Man United. Obviously, he's missed I think the last 4 or 5 games in all competitions. Obviously, he's been out with a thigh injury, but I think he's now closer to regaining full fitness. Is Anthony Martial, and like I did say, before he sustained his injury, he's had a great start to this season. As Anthony Martial, and like I said, if he can avoid any more injuries and he can avoid sustaining any more injuries and he can keep the consistency up, I think Martial can score from between 15 to 20 goals this season. Like I said, he predominantly plays on the left, does Martial. He predominantly plays on the left, but you know, obviously it got confirmed at the start of the season that he has been given her that number 9 shirt. Because for me, you know, Martial, you know, just seems to be more effective in that central position. That we know Rashford has obviously, you know, been playing in that central position a lot, because obviously, you know, they're compatible in that aspect, because Martial and Rashford can both play centrally, they can both play out wide, but Martial's more of the standout player. And I think, you know, you know, when Martial's playing, and I think, you know, for the majority of this season, you know, Rashford, you know, will be playing out on the flank. But Rashford, you know, I think has enjoyed a pretty bad start to this season, to be quite honest with you, and that. And I think, you know, Martial is probably a better option than him, to be quite honest with you. You know, Martial has scored 50 goals for the football club. This is now his 5th season at Manchester. Well, I think it's over 50 goals for the football club in all competitions. Martial is now into his 5th season as a Manchester United player, and that. But yeah, definitely is the long-term solution for the club. But Rashford, even though despite he hasn't been too good this season, I'd still say Rashford is a long-term solution for Man United. You know, obviously, you know, Rashford, like I said, he did well throughout pre-season. You know, he did well on the opening day against Chelsea and that. But since then, you know, his performances have been a bit below par. But obviously, don't forget, so far, Rashford has spent the entirety of his career with Manchester United so far. He's obviously been a United player since he was the age of 7. You know, he's been in the senior squad with us since he was since 2016. You know, don't forget, Rashford scored on his Europa League debut against Midtjylland. He also scored twice on his Premier League debut against Arsenal back in February 2016. So obviously, you know, that's over 3 years ago now. But for me, Rashford's still a long-term solution for Man United. You know, some people believe he's overrated, and that. Obviously, don't forget, he has been out with a groin problem. I don't think he was fully fit yesterday. You know, I could tell him that. But yeah, and I did initially say that Mason Greenwood is a much better solution than Marcus Rashford at this moment in time. And obviously, yeah, and we've got quite a few injuries. I think recently he said that Phil Jones has been injured as well. Don't forget, he said he's been injured. I think obviously we know that Eric Bailly is a long-term absence. I think he's out until the end of December or the new year with a knee injury. So we have got quite a few injuries in the squad. Paul Pogba, I do believe, you know, he will leave the football club in January or next summer. Obviously, reports recently speculated out saying that, you know, Paul Pogba is demanding a substantial 600 grand a week from the football club. He's demanding 600 grand a week from the football club. You know, if he's to renew his contract at Manchester United, so 600 grand a week, you know, equates to around 30 or 31 million pound a year, and that. You know, don't get me wrong. You know, we have got the financial power, you know, to meet them wage demands and that, because we're a massive club with massive revenues. Even though we're absolutely millions of pounds in debt, but I just can't see anywhere Man United, you know, giving Paul Pogba, you know, £600,000 a week on his current deal at the moment. You know, Paul Pogba is on around 290 grand a week, so he's on just under 300 grand a week. He has got 2 years left on his current deal as Pogba, you know, with an option, you know, to extend it by a further year. But he's demanding a substantial 600 grand a week if he's to renew his contract at Man United, because I think, you know, we've been in negotiations with Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola over the possibility of renewing his contract and that, and just obviously, you know, to discuss his future. And I think Raiola himself was demanding 600 grand a week for his client, you know, to remain at Manchester United. Because don't forget, for the entirety of the summer, Mini Raiola, you know, was in the process of trying to get, you know, Paul Pogba's move to Real Madrid, you know, completed, because he was relentlessly, you know, linked to move to Real Madrid, and Paul Pogba, you know, was subjected, you know, to intense speculation. But yeah, there wasn't only Real Madrid in for him, you know, during the summer. You know, don't forget there was also, you know, rumours about him going back to Juventus. You know, I think Juventus are considering making a move for him in January and that. Obviously, you know, Juventus themselves did good business, you know, during the summer. But, you know, analysing Paul Pogba's career at Manchester United since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016. You know, he has been mainly, you know, he's enjoyed mainly a difficult time, obviously, in comparison to his time, you know, with Juventus, because obviously he had 4 successful years there with Juventus and that. You know, he did really, really well. He exceeded expectations, but hasn't really, replicated this form at Manchester United. Obviously, I think PSG were in for him during the summer. Don't forget, he allegedly said that he had agreed to move to PSG just before, I think it was was on deadline day or just before deadline day, but he's moved to PSG, never materialised because of the Neymar saga. And I think he was also linked to move to Barcelona. But Solskjaer recently gave his overarching view on Pogba, and he actually said that Paul Pogba, well, he's very adamant that he's not going to be for sale in January, and he also insisted, he informed Real Madrid that Paul Pogba, of course, is going nowhere. But he wasn't fully fit yesterday, even though he did play in the game. Obviously, he was playing alongside McTominay in that midfield, as he has been doing, for the majority of this season. In certain games this season when Paul Pogba's played, he has done okay. But like I said, him or Rashford and that, haven't performed to the same sort of extent as how Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire and that's performed and that. And like I said, reflecting on the substantial amount Rashford and Paul Pogba's on and that, they should be putting much more better performances out. But yeah, I still think he'll leave the football club. If he doesn't leave in January, I think, Paul Pogba, will end up, leaving next summer. But like I did say, reflecting on the substantial amount, we did put on Paul Pogba during the summer, that was a stumbling block of him, making his move to Real Madrid. Because obviously, Real Madrid were not willing to meet what we was demanding. We was demanding a substantial £180 million. Obviously, Real Madrid were not willing to pay up to £180 million for Paul Pogba. So basically, we was demanding just over double than what we paid for him from Juventus back in 2016. And obviously, we paid, £89 million to him. So, obviously, he's our most expensive sign than that. But Zinedine Zidane, did identify Paul Pogba as his number one priority target. And he will be infuriated, that he didn't, get his number one priority target. Don't forget, Christian Eriksen was on Real Madrid's agenda. And like I said, if Paul Pogba is to renew his contract at Manchester United, then I think Real Madrid's alternative then will be to go in for Christian Eriksen at the end of this season on a free transfer, because Christian Eriksen's current deal with Tottenham, does expire at the end of the season. But Real Madrid's preference is obviously Paul Pogba. But Pogba did confirm earlier on in the summer. He said he wanted to leave Manchester United. He did say he was seeking for a new challenge, and he publicly admitted that he did want to leave the football club and basically wanted to leave to rejuvenate his career. But I'm glad that we kept him. Well, I'm glad we kept him. I'm glad we convinced him to remain at the football club. Obviously, especially with our failure to land a midfielder in during the summer, because that midfield area is one of the priority areas where Manchester United do need to strengthen up. Sorry about that. Where Manchester United do need to strengthen up. But like I said, Paul Pogba's in his fourth season as a United player. I don't think he's yet scored this season, by the way. But he has obviously, had quite a few injuries. Obviously played the 90 minutes against Rochdale last week. But Solskjaer confirmed prior to the Arsenal game that obviously he had played the full 90 minutes, but he had sustained another knock. But before that, obviously, he had been out with an ankle injury, so around 3 or 4 weeks ago, Paul Pogba, had to withdraw from the France squad. And in that aspect, he would have been, really, really infuriated, because we do know that Paul Pogba, does like to represent France. Obviously, Paul Pogba has won the Europa League and the League Cup with us. That came in his second season at the football club. But yeah, there was a lot of talks about Paul Pogba leaving last summer. Obviously, based on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho and that. Obviously, he was relentlessly linked to a move away from the club last summer. But Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes, of course, when Jose Mourinho departed the football club. But still 26 years of age, still got a lot of development in him. And we have seen Paul Pogba, at his best as a Manchester United player. You mainly see the best of Pogba, of course, when he's 3'd up. But I still believe anyway, he's going to definitely lead the football club in January or next summer. Because I think the talks have stalled over a new contract, reflecting on, Paul Pogba's substantial wage demands. I just can't see us, giving him 600 grand a week and that. But like I did say, there is still problematic players at the football club that I think, need to be moved on in January or next summer or in the future. And that a lot of players have now left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. So we did, get that summer clear that we did demand. Obviously, Antonio Valencia left at the end of last season after he served 10 years there with Manchester United. Obviously, we saw Chris Smalling go out on loan to Roma. Despite the fact that Chris Smalling went out on loan, we have still got 6 centre-backs in the team. Obviously, Matteo Darmian, don't forget, left the football club. He joined Parma for just over £1 million. And then, obviously, Ander Herrera left the football club, and I think it was a mistake from the club, letting Ander Herrera go, because you could arguably say Ander Herrera, was one of our best players since the Alex Ferguson era, and that he had some rough patches, but I think analysing the majority of his 5 years he served at the club, I thought, he was very, very consistent, Ander Herrera, and that, and it was also a shame that we let him go on a free transfer. We let his contract run down, and we let him go on a free transfer, and that. But in that aspect, that was bad business from the football club. But we've been known for doing that in recent years. Like I said, there's been prime examples of it, this summer and that, we overpay for players, and then when it comes to letting them go, we let them go for next to nothing. Obviously, we paid just under, £30 million for Ander Herrera, and then obviously early on in the summer let him go on a free transfer, and I said, we need to recruit a replacement for him. Fellaini, of course, left back in January. He went to China. He served, 6 years at Man United, so he was another long-serving player at the club. Obviously, like I said, Lukaku, we should have really, recruited a replacement for him. And like I said, I don't know how Lukaku and Sanchez are both performing for Inter Milan, because I haven't been watching Inter Milan. Don't really watch a lot of Italian football, to be quite honest with you. But analysing, Lukaku's 2 years at Man United, because he was at the club 2 years, and that Lukaku did really, really well in his first season. I think he scored 27 goals in all competitions in his first season. But basically, just didn't replicate that in his second season at the club, because he fallen down the pecking order and that. And obviously, Solskjaer's preference was obviously Rashford over Romelu Lukaku and that. Basically, Lukaku, dropped out of the team, basically, and this obviously, led to him, of course, leaving the club in the end to join Inter Milan, And I think Lukaku in total scored 42 goals in 96, appearances, for the club in all competitions. But, we did overpay for Lukaku when we got him at the time from Everton a couple of years ago and that. But, I'm really, really happy, with the money, we did generate from his departure, because I think we basically, recouped the money. Inter Milan, what we got from Inter Milan, basically, we recouped the money, what we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago. And with Sanchez, obviously, he's on loan over Inter Milan. Sanchez and obviously Romelu Lukaku are both reuniting. Even though Sanchez is on loan with Inter Milan, I still believe Manchester United are still paying the vast majority of his wages and that. I think we're paying around, between £250,000 to £300,000 of his wages. Obviously, Inter Milan, of course, are paying some of his wages and that. But, a lot of people believe, we are short of options now in that attacking line. Obviously, with Sanchez, of course, leaving, and of course, Romelu Lukaku leaving the football club. But yeah, Italy's been a popular destination, for the vast majority of our players that have left this summer. Don't forget, we did loan a couple of goalkeepers out. We did loan a couple of goalkeepers out. But yeah, I think, players that do need to be moved on. I think Phil Jones, he's another player that needs to be moved on by the football club. Don't forget Phil Jones signed a new long-term contract last season with Manchester United. Obviously, that was bad business in that aspect, so we shouldn't really, give him a new contract. I'm happy that we did get the contract renewals on certain players and that, I'm happy some players did sign contracts, and, I'm unhappy, I'm unhappy with some that signed a new contract. So Phil Jones shouldn't have been given a new long-term contract. Jones has been a long-serving player at the football club, he's been here 8 years. He's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player, so Jones has been here since the Alex Ferguson era. But for me, Jones needs to be moved on in January and next summer, because Manchester United, can't cash in for him. Like I said, in the Europa League and the Cup games, obviously Jones, will obviously get his opportunities. But prior to that, he won't really get much opportunities, because obviously Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice centre backs. Ashley Young now, obviously, he's another player. Young, to be quite fair, he has been quite impressive recently. Obviously, Young has obviously passed his sell-by date at the club. I think he made some woeful crosses in the game yesterday against Arsenal, but I think he's had a good couple of games this season. But Young has passed his sell by day. You know, he's 34. I think he's 35 next year. He's young, so this should be his last season as a Manchester United player. But obviously, you know, Young was our first choice right back last season. You know, don't forget. But obviously now Wan Bissaka is our first choice right back in that. But obviously Ashley Young is our obviously one of our backups at that right back position. Obviously he's been mainly playing at left back, you know, when he has been playing recently, but obviously played right back yesterday. I think obviously, you know, was captain the team. But yeah, we give obviously, you know, Young a new 1 year extension last season, you know, which Manchester United, you know, shouldn't have done. But I think he needs to be moved on at the end of the season. But we have got a lot of aging up players in the squad as well, don't forget, as well as young players. Marcus Rojo. Now, obviously, you know, Rojo, I'm surprised, you know, he didn't play yesterday, Rojo. I thought, you know, he may have been given the opportunity. Obviously, you know, with the players we had injured, you know, in that, you know, with the fullback, you know, we had injured in that. Rojo is actually predominantly a centre-back, but obviously, you know, he can play as a left-back and a wing-back and that. Rojo's obviously, you know, made 2 appearances for the club this season, you know, just like Phil Jones and that. And I thought Rojo did really well against Rochdale last week in the Cowbell Cup and that. You know, don't forget, Rojo was subjected to, you know, some speculation during the summer. You know, if you remember rightly, Everton had inquired about getting Rojo on transfer deadline day. But I think, you know, Rojo, I think needs to be moved on either, you know, next year or sometime in the future, because I think he's one of the problematic players at the football club and that. You know, I think his Man United career has been affected with the injuries he's sustained. He has sustained a lot of injuries. You know, nowhere near to the extent of Eric Bailly and that, but he has still sustained quite a few injuries. But Rojo has just got under 2 years left on his contract at Man United, so if we could get rid of him in January or next summer, you know, we can cash in for the player. So for me, he's another player that needs to leave. Matic is definitely, you know, Matic is definitely a problematic player at the football club. Obviously, Matic has initially lost his place in the team to Scott McTominay, and like I did say, I think any of our midfielders are much better options than Matic and that. Matic had only been playing recently, obviously, you know, due to the absence of Paul Pogba. That's why he had been playing on a regular basis quite recently and that. But I think Matic is infuriated, you know, with his lack of you know, playing time at the football club. Like I said, analysing his 2 years he's been here, you know, he's been mainly inconsistent. Matic is now into his 3rd season as a Manchester United player, don't forget. I think he's not far away from making a century of appearances for the club. I think he's made about 91 appearances in all competitions. I think the vast majority of the appearances Matic has made have obviously, you know, have come in the Premier League. Don't forget, Man United paid around £40 million for him from Chelsea back in 2017. But don't forget, Matic's current contract expires at the end of the season, but we do have an option, you know, to extend it by a further year. But yeah, he's definitely one of the problematic players, and he's now 31 years of age, is Matic, so he is aging up. But yeah, at the time we got him in under the Jose Mourinho era, like I said, you know, obviously he was our 3rd choice signing and that. But yeah, he's a problematic player, is the Nemanja Matic. But yeah, like I said, I think McTominay, you know, has done really well this season for the football club, and you know, he's deserved to keep his place in the team and that. You know, in regards to him being a long-term solution, you know, I've got element of concerns about that. You know, these question marks around McTominay, you know, can he keep the consistency up? And you know, I hope he can. You know, with Fred, like I said, you know, I want to see more of Fred, you know, to be quite honest with you. You know, Fred, like I said, you know, he's enjoyed a difficult time mainly at Manchester United so far in comparison to his time at Shakhtar Donetsk. Don't forget that we'd paid just under £50 million for Fred last summer, so he's on that list of one of our most expensive signs in that. But I think he's a much better solution than Matic in that. But Solskjaer did say he expects to see better things from Fred this season. But yeah, we've got to address that midfield. I've got a lot of element of concerns about it. Obviously, Angel Gomez is another one of our midfield options. You know, it did initially say, you know, he's going to be a big part of the squad this season, Angel Gomez. Obviously, it confirmed before the game. He was obviously not out with injury, but I think Angel Gomez and Diego Dalot, you know, they should be both back for the game this Thursday against AZ Alkmaar. Well, hopefully anywhere. They should be back this Thursday, you know, for the Alkmaar game, you know, should Angel Gomez and Diego Dalot. But yeah, and like I did say, reflecting on the amount of money that's been invested into Manchester United in the last 6 or 7 years, also reflecting on the history of this football club, because we are the most successful team in England. Historically, we should be in much more of a commanding position, than we're in now. To be quite honest with you. But yeah, a lot of money's been spent at the football club. I think around over 140 million pounds has been spent this summer under Solskjaer. Just under 400 million pounds was spent under Mourinho. I obviously give you the reasons already, why it didn't work out under Jose Mourinho on that, because I think we appointed Mourinho in too late, let's be honest. You could arguably say, if we'd have recommended Jose Mourinho in after Ferguson's retirement, then maybe, it would have been a different situation with Manchester United. But obviously, we didn't. It was a mistake, obviously, us recommended David Moyes in after, Ferguson's retirement. But, under Mourinho, we recommended him in too late, and it didn't work out under him, despite the fact that he won the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season at Manchester United, because obviously Mourinho had, bad disputes with the board. He had bad disputes with some of the top players. Obviously, there was no sort of, the philosophy wasn't right. There was no sort of transfer strategy under Jose Mourinho. It was part of the bus football and that. So these are the reasons why it didn't work out under him. But Mourinho had he had a 2.5 year tenure at Manchester United. But the vast majority of the players that Mourinho brought in are still here now, because the majority of this team are actually Jose Mourinho's players and that. Obviously, Solskjaer's inheriting them. Louis van Gaal, he recommended quite a lot of players in. There's still some of them players here now, but actually, the vast majority of them have now left. Obviously, Moyes, he recommended Juan Mata and Marian Fellaini and that. So I think we spent around 800 odd million pounds, on players and that, since the Alex Ferguson era. 800 odd million pounds, is not far. It's just basically under $1 billion, is it? Under £1 billion, basically, all in all. And that's obviously not taking into account, what was spent under Alex Ferguson. Obviously, Ferguson developed a lot of young players and that. But if you want to take into account what was spent under Ferguson, obviously, it's way over £1 billion that we have spent on players and that. But I think Solskjaer needs time at the football club, because obviously, don't forget with Alex Ferguson, he didn't win out in his first 3 or 4 years at the football club and that. But we know back in the old generation that we know that the boards were nowhere near ruthless. We're nowhere near as ruthless as they are now. Because you could get given that length of period. You could get given that period of time. Back in the older generation, that, but you don't get that time now. Unfortunately, but Ferguson didn't win out in his first 4 years. When he got recommended in from Aberdeen back in 1985, 1986, didn't win a thing. And obviously, I think was one game away from the sack, but then didn't. And then look what he went and accomplished. We had 20 odd years of success under Ferguson. That, but I did say, regardless of who our manager is, even if we had a manager to the highest level and with a proven pedigree, we wouldn't, would never replicate what we did under Ferguson. No one would ever, follow Alex Ferguson's legacy. And that's obviously something we have got to accept in that. But I'm still, backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer all the way. Ed Woodward, he's still convinced, that he can turn things around at Man United. And we're still backing him, even, despite our bad start to the season. But, if his bad run of form does continue to persist, I think we could enjoy a worse season this season, than what we saw last season. Because last season was a huge disappointment. We finished 6th. Obviously, we finished around 32 points behind Manchester City and that. But we've got to get back into the Champions League this season. That's very, very essential. That's very, very essential indeed. But yeah, you can quite frankly say, furthermore investment is needed in the squad. Like I said, Solskjaer, I think, wants to, continue with the policy of recruiting young British players, like he did do earlier on in the summer and that. But for me, he needs to be back to more in January and, of course, next summer. And like I did say, though, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is to be sacked by the football club, who would you recommend in as his current replacement and that? Now, obviously, there was reports stemming from the Italian press the other week about Massimiliano Allegri. the former Juventus manager. He actually served around 5 years there with Juventus, did Massimiliano Allegri, and obviously the majority of his silverware he won, obviously, was with Juventus in that. But it reportedly said if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is to be satisfied the football club, we have made Massimiliano Allegri as our primary candidate to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Do you think he would be the right man for Manchester United? Obviously, he's highly experienced. He's in his 50s, I think. Obviously, he's, like I said, he's never managed in the Premier League. He never played in the Premier League. He's actually spent the entirety of his managerial career, in Italy. He also spent the entirety of his playing career in Italy, did Massimiliano Allegri. I think he stepped down as Juventus manager, was it, earlier on in the summer, don't forget. But, looking at it, before we recommended Ole Gunnar Solskjaer into the football club, and obviously after Jose Mourinho got sacked, there was quite a few managers, on our current agenda. Obviously, at the time, we obviously, made Mauricio Pochettino our primary candidate, to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Don't forget, we was in for Pochettino for a very, very long time. Obviously, Pochettino, I'll credit him in the aspect. I think he's done a really, really good job with Tottenham. He's good at developing young players and that. And a lot of people, think he would, suit the strappings of the club, Pochettino, if he was to come in to Manchester United. Obviously, he's been the long-serving manager at Tottenham. He has been there now 5 years. He's now into his 6th season as Tottenham manager in that. But obviously at the time we was in for him, obviously, he had no intentions of leaving Tottenham. Don't forget the chairman of Tottenham, Danny Levy, is a hard negotiator. When it comes to any team going for any Tottenham players or going for their managers and that. Daniel Levy seems to be a hard negotiator in that. But at the time we was in for him, he did say we'd have had to pay compensation from between 35 to 40 million pounds to get Pochettino winning that. And obviously, our preference was just Solskjaer, because obviously Solskjaer knows the club inside out. Obviously, it was a cheaper solution as well. We only paid Mould a couple of £1 million to get him in his interim. Then we paid about £7 or £8 million more to give him the job permanently. Pochettino, though, hasn't got that proven pedigree of winning many silverware, so that's my element of concerned about him. Don't forget, he got Tottenham to their first ever Champions League final last season. Before he was at Tottenham, obviously, don't forget, he had a short tenure with Southampton, did Pochettino. He only had a short tenure there, but did really, really well. I think before then, he managed Espanyol and that. So if he is to be sacked, do you think Man United do you think we could possibly reignite our interest in Mauricio Pochettino on that? But for me, we need to keep Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the football club. All the Manchester United fans love him a lot. We have got concerns about him. His tactics in that are questionable and that. The personnel seems to be there, which is one good thing. But for me, I think the things that need to improve at Manchester United, the performances need to improve. And I saw some improvements yesterday. The performance, was better, but the result was still not good enough. The results need to improve at the club. I think also our home form needs to improve, because our home form's been very, very poor. I think also our away form needs to improve, because don't forget, we haven't won away from home since the PSG game last season. Obviously, when we did produce that miraculous comeback, that's obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moment as manager. But these games this season that can pinpoint out that arguably Manchester United should have won. You could say we deserved to win yesterday. We should have won the Southampton game early on in the season. Maybe we should have won, the Wolves game early on in the season. We should have won at home to Crystal Palace. But we do seem to be creating chances in that, which is one good thing. We are creating chances. We're just not being clinical enough in front of goal. And that seems to be the problem. And that's a problem, Manchester United do need to justify. We do need to be, ruthless, more ruthless in front of goal. But for me, it wasn't only this summer transfer window, wasn't competitive enough. We wasn't ruthless enough we haven't been ruthless enough in the last 3 to 4 transfer windows, In the recent windows prior to this summer, we didn't get anyone in January. Obviously, reflecting back last summer, we didn't get our number one targets. But like I said, it's not always about spending big on players, and it's not always about getting them Galactico players, because it doesn't always guarantee you success, and it's been proven with Manchester United in the last 6 or 7 years. Doesn't always get you in that position where you do currently want to be. But we are now sitting 10th in the league. We've only registered 9 points from 7 league games, so this is obviously not good enough to our standards. But you can take some credit yesterday. Certain players played well, and that, McTominay scored a really, really good goal. I do believe that's his first Old Trafford goal as well. So anyway, guys, that's your match reaction, that and everything else. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.